Hello, and welcome to the individual quality technique presentation session. I am Jeremy Talbris from St. Mary's University of Minnesota. Today, the purpose of this introductory presentation is to explain how questionnaires and surveys can be used as a quality control management tool, and also what makes questionnaires and surveys a vital tool that can be used to control quality. That being said, in this presentation, I will be covering the following. Quality management tools and techniques, data gathering tools and techniques, questionnaires and surveys, the survey process, advantages and disadvantages of questionnaires and surveys, how questionnaires will be used to measure success in our community-based events. Also, I'll provide some alternatives to questionnaires and surveys and list the advantages and disadvantages of these alternatives. Quality management tools and techniques. What are quality management tools and techniques, and how can it be used? A quality management tool and technique can be defined as any strategy or technique that can be utilized to collect data, access information for planning, and implementation to support quality management efforts. Also, these tools can be used as a management tool in collecting information geared towards continuously improving a process. Data gathering tools and techniques. What is data? Data can be defined as the quantitative or qualitative value of a variable. What is data gathering? Data gathering is a preliminary stage of data measurement and analysis. PMI maintains that data gathering are tools and techniques used to control quality, and also outlines the different types of data gathering techniques that can be used to control quality as checklists, check sheets, statistical sampling, and questionnaires and surveys. Now, for the purpose of this presentation, we will focus on questionnaires and surveys, which is a data gathering tool used to control quality management. Questionnaires and surveys. What are questionnaires? Questionnaires are distributed research instruments that consist of a series of questions. There are tools that can be used in conducting surveys, and there are also a list of questions in a survey. Surveys. What is a survey? According to PMI 2016, surveys may be used to gather data about customer satisfaction after the deployment of a product or service. These surveys can also be used to gather efficient data from a target audience, to provide a snapshot of how things are at a given time, to explore aspects of a situation, to seek explanation and provide data for hypothesis testing. And also, survey success can be determined by the rate at which participants are engaged. The survey process. The survey process is a systematic method of gathering data from target participants using statistical techniques mainly used in qualitative research. Now, how does this process work? And we're going to outline, the steps that should be used before conducting a survey. Now, before conducting a survey, you want to clarify the purpose of that survey. You're going to ask yourself, why should this survey be conducted? Second step is to formulate your survey goals. Now, this step, you're going to ask, what is the aim of this survey? What's the target audience? And also, what's the duration of the survey, or what will be the duration of the survey? After which, you're going to verify the resources that will be used to conduct this survey. So, what resources are needed? Are the resources sufficient enough, or will they be sufficient enough? After this has been identified, we go now to the next step, which is to choose our survey method. Now, this is a very important step because you're going to ask what type of survey will be used to achieve this purpose. Am I going to use questionnaires, or are we going to use interviews? After this step, you're going to perform the sampling. Performing the sampling means that you're going to determine the number of participants and you're going to choose a sampling technique. You're going to write questionnaires after performing that sampling. What questions should be asked? What type of responses are needed? And how should the layout of the survey look like? Now, after you have asked these questions, identify the survey, the questions that will be asked in the questionnaire. You have actually, laid them out. You're going to conduct a pilot test. So the pilot test question is this questionnaire suitable for the sample? Do I need to revise the questions on the questionnaire? Or do I need to revise the questions in the survey? So once all this has been determined, you've done your revisions, you know the questions that you want to ask, the sample that you're going to be using or testing, you're going to administer, right? It's very important. So in the questionnaire, is it ready to be distributed to the target audience? Am I ready to, dish this out to the target audience, and how are they going to perceive or accept this? After the administration step, you know, collect that data and you process that data. In this step, you're going to determine how that data should be collected and stored for future references. After collecting that data, you're going to analyze that data. So what conclusions can be made from this data collected? What has been determined based on this data that has been collected? And after which you're going to report, because you've collected that data, analyze the data, now you're going to report on your findings, your conclusions. You know, how can the conclusions be conveyed effectively? What medium should be used in reporting these conclusions? Well, we're going to talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of using questionnaires and surveys. Here are some of the advantages. Empirical data. Now, this is done through direct observation. The research conducted produces that data based on recording direct observations. It is also cost effective. Surveys can produce a large amount of data in a short time for a fairly low cost. Save money there. And it's also convenient. It's a convenient data gathering process. These surveys can be administered to participants through a variety of ways. You can use emails, you can use faxes, telephone surveys, direct mails, and even the internet, which makes it much more efficient. And we're going to look at some of the disadvantages of using questionnaires and surveys. Controversial issues. Controversial issues or controversial questions may not be answered by participants as accurately as when using an alternative data gathering method. So there are some questions that, would not be answered accurately when you use questionnaires and surveys. Also, the type of questions, inappropriateness of questions. Questions in surveys are always standardized, therefore forcing researchers to create questions that are general to suit the target audience, but on the other hand, may not be appropriate for all the participants. So how will questionnaires be used to measure success for the community-based event that will be conducted by Acme Inc.? According to the data collected from last year, the survey participation rate was low. Out of 100 event participants, only 21 filled out the survey. Also, some participants left at the end of the event without completing the survey, and they weren't offered to fill out surveys. To improve this year's survey participation, we're going to do something differently. We're going to introduce the use of electronic survey. Survey participants will be provided with a link electronically for their survey. Also, participants will be offered incentives for completing the survey after the event. The survey questions will focus on event engagement and Acme's community recognition. We're also going to set a deadline to submit surveys electronically. Again, the success rate will depend on the number of survey participants. What are some alternative data gathering methods? Personal one-on-one interviews. A personal face-to-face interview can be used to conduct surveys. In this case, individual responses can be explored to gather a deeper information. Focus group interviews. Focus group interviews can also be used to gather information from participants. These participants are typically put in a single group and interviewed interactively. Also, participants in a focus group are given the opportunity to discuss their ideas and opinions towards the objects of the survey. Here are some advantages and disadvantages of one-on-one interviews. In one-on-one interviews, participants are more likely to answer live questions about a particular subject. In one-on-one interviews, open-ended questions can be tolerated due to the convenience of the face-to-face interaction. Some disadvantages. Face-to-face interviews can be more expensive than other types of surveys. And also, face-to-face interviews can be time-consuming, which can negatively impact the quality of information gathered. Since we've outlined some of the advantages of one-on-one interviews, let us outline some of the advantages and disadvantages of focus group interviews. Advantages. In focus group interviews, participants can answer and build on each other's responses. Also, it improves the quality of information gathered because when we can build on the responses of each other, that quality of information gathered will be improved. Now, here are some disadvantages. The results may not fully represent the opinion of the larger target population or the larger target audience. And also, focus group interviews can be time consuming, which can negatively impact the quality of information gathered. So we have come to the end of this presentation. But before we go our separate ways, here are some endnotes for you guys to take home. The quality management tool and technique can be defined as any strategy or technique that can be utilized to collect data, assess information for planning, and implementation to support quality management efforts. Data can be defined as the qualitative or quantitative value of a variable. Data gathering is the preliminary stage of data measurement and analysis. Some data gathering tools are checklists, check sheets, statistical sampling, questionnaires, and surveys. Questionnaires are distributed research instruments consisting of a series of questions in a survey. The survey process is a systematic method of gathering data from target participants using statistical techniques mainly used in qualitative research. The systematic method, this systematic method can be done through direct observations. It is cost effective. It produces a large amount of data in a short time and can be administered through various mediums. For example, fax, email, direct mail, internet, etc. When conducting surveys using questionnaires, controversial questions may not be answered by participants as accurately as when using an alternative data gathering method, such as face-to-face interviews or focus group interviews. Thank you and have a great day.